If someone offers you 1 million naira to drive a bus at 12 a.m., run away. Run as fast as your legs can carry you. Do not ask questions. Do not take the money. Just run. Chike did not run. He took the keys. He took the money. And now he might never ever come back again to the land of the living. Chike was a good man. But a good man with empty pockets is a desperate man. His life was falling apart. He lived in a tiny dark room with his wife Ngozi and their little daughter Ada. For 3 good days, there had been no fire in their kitchen. No rice, no beans, not even a piece of bread. Just little garri soaked in water. Ada, their little daughter, was very, very sick. And that evening, their landlord had come. He had kicked their door hard, screaming, "Chike, if you do not pay my rent by tomorrow morning, I will throw you and your family into the streets. You hear me? Into the cold rain." Chike sat at the edge of his old bed, holding his head in his hands. He felt like a failure, a father who could not feed his crying child, a husband who could not protect his wife. He wiped tears from his eyes and said, "I will get the money today, Ngozi. Even if I have to send my own blood, I must bring food home tonight." Ngozi, his wife, just looked at him with sad, tired eyes. "Please, just be careful," she said slowly. Chike left the house and walked to the main motor park. He used to drive a small taxi, but the engine spoiled last month and he had no money to fix it. He walked around the dusty park under the sun, begging the other drivers to let him work a shift. "Please, give me your bus for 1 hour," he begged. "Let me make a little money." But everyone said no. The economy was bad. Nobody wanted to share their profits. By midnight, Chike was still at the motor park. The place was empty. The buses were parked and locked. The food sellers had packed up and gone home. Only the street dogs were left, fighting over dry bones in the dirt. Chike sat on an empty wooden bench, ready to give up. He thought about going back home to his sick daughter with nothing. His heart broke. Suddenly, a long, shiny black car drove into the park. It moved with no sound. It parked right in front of Chike. The back window rolled down slowly. Inside the car sat a very old man. He wore a dark suit and held a walking stick. His eyes were completely wet, like a blind man, but he looked straight at Chike. "Driver Chike, you need money," the old man said. His voice sounded like dry leaves. Chike stood up quickly. "Yes, sir. I am a very good driver. I can drive anything. Cars, buses, trucks. Please, do you have a job for me?" The old man did not smile. He put his hand into his suit and pulled out a huge bundle of cash. New crisp Naira notes. It was more money than Chike had seen in 5 years of his life. "This is 1 million naira," the old man said. "It is yours, but you will only get half now. You will get the other half when the job is done." Chike's mouth fell open. 500,000 naira right now? It will pay his rent, buy medicine for Ada. It will buy a bag of rice and even start a business for him and his wife. "What is the job, sir?" Chike asked, his voice shaking. "I need a driver for a special bus," the old man said slowly. "A very large bus. You will pick it up at the edge of town, near the old bridge. The shift starts exactly at 1 a.m. You will drive my passengers to their final destination." "I can do it, I can do it," Chike said instantly, excitedly. "Thank you, sir. Thank you. I am ready for the job." The word "final destination" was supposed to make Chike pause and think. But my wonderful viewers, poverty is worse than sickness. My people, Poverty is very deadly. That is why we must war against it. A hungry man does not think clearly. He does not see the danger in front of him. The old man held one of his bony finger. Wait, there are rules. 3 strict rules. If you break even one of them, you will not get the rest of the money. In fact, you will not need money ever again. Chike swallowed hard. What are the rules, sir? Rule number 1, the old man said, leaning closer to him. You must open the doors exactly at 1 a.m. Not a minute before, not a minute after. Okay, Chike nodded. 1 a.m. Rule number 2, do not speak to the passengers. You are the driver. Only drive. Do not greet them. Do not ask them for transport money. Do not talk to them at all. Keep your mouth completely shut. I understand, Chike said. I will be silent. And rule number 3, the old man whispered. This is the most important rule, Chike. Listen to me very carefully. While driving, you must never ever look into the rear mirror. Keep your eyes on the road in front of you. Do not look in the mirror to see the passengers at the back. If you look at them, you will become one of them. My people, did you hear the 3rd rule? Never look into the mirror, or you will become one of them. The money being offered was huge. Ada was sick at home. If it were you, what would you have done in this situation? Chike felt a chill run down his spine. It was a very strange rule. How can a driver drive a big bus without looking into the mirror? And what does he mean he would become like them? But then, Chike looked at the bundle of money in the old man's hand. He thought of his sick daughter crying. He thought of the angry landlord. I accept, Chike said. The old man handed him the money and a silver key. The bus is black. It is waiting for you. Do not fail me, driver. The old man's car rolled away into the dark night, leaving no tire marks in the dust. Chike ran quickly to a pharmacy that opened 24 hours. He bought medicine for his daughter. Then he bought a big loaf of bread and 2 tins of milk. He ran all the way home. He woke up his wife and gave her the food and the medicine. He dropped the rest of the money on the bed. Ngozi's wife gasped in shock. Chike, where did you see this kind of money? Did you go and steal? No, my love, Chike smiled happily. I got a night job from a very big man. A very special driving job. Feed Ada, pay the landlord tomorrow morning and buy foodstuffs from the market. I have to go to work right now. I will be back before the sun comes up. Before she could ask more questions, Chike kissed her forehead and ran out into the night. He walked for a very long time until he reached the old bridge at the edge of the town. There were no houses there, only tall dark trees and wild bushes. The night was terribly quiet. It was as if nature itself was hiding from something. Then he saw it. Parked under a huge dead tree was the bus. It was massive. It was painted completely black without a single scratch on it. The windows were tinted so dark that it looked like solid black walls. It looked less like a bus and more like a rolling coffin. Chike's hands began to sweat. He walked up to the heavy metal door. He put the silver key into the lock and turned it open. He climbed up into the stairs to the driver's seat. Inside, the bus smelled strange. It did not smell like rubber or fuel. It smelled like old flowers that had been left in a closed room for a long time. He sat in the large leather seat. It was comfortable, but his heart was beating very, very fast. He put the key and started the engine. Chike looked at the dashboard. There was a bright digital clock glowing in red numbers. 12:45 a.m. He had 15 minutes. He remembered the rules. Do not open the doors until exactly 1 a.m. He pushed the button to close the doors. The bus was sealed tight. Then he remembered the most dangerous rule. Do not look into the rear mirror. Chike looked up. The large mirror hung right above his head, pointing perfectly at the long rows of empty passenger seats behind him. Just looking at the empty mirror made his stomach turn. He knew that if he heard a strange noise behind him, his natural reaction would be to look up and see what is happening. I cannot take any chances, Chike said to himself. He took off his old jacket. He reached up and tied the jacket tightly around the rear mirror, covering the glass completely. Now, even if I try to look, I will only see my dirty jacket. I am safe. He took a deep breath and watched the red numbers on the clock. 12:55 a.m. Outside the bus, a thick, white fog began to roll in from the bushes. It covered the old bridge. The fog was so thick, Chike could barely see the road in front of him. 12:58 a.m. The temperature inside the bus began to drop. Chike rubbed his arms. He was wishing he had not tied his jacket to the mirror. The air grew freezing cold. 12:59 a.m. Chike put his finger over the door opening button. His hands were shaking. He stared at the red numbers, waiting for them to change. 1 a.m. Chike pressed the button. The door swung open. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Chike just stared into the dark. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe no one was coming. Then, a shape moved in the fog. Someone was stepping onto the bus. Chike froze. He remembered the rule. Do not speak. He glued his lips together and stared straight out of the front window. It was an old woman who was climbing the bus, but there was something terribly wrong with her. She was wearing a wrapper that was pure, spotless white. It glowed slightly in the dark, but she made no sound. She moved past Chike, bringing a wave of freezing cold air with her. She took a seat at the very back. Chike's breath caught in his throat. He wanted to scream. He wanted to jump out of the window and run back to his wife. But he thought of the money. He thought of his hungry child. He gripped the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. Then came the next passenger. A very tall man wearing a white suit. His skin was pale, exactly the color of dead ash. His eyes were deep into his skull. He drifted past Chike without a single word. No greeting, no sounds of shoe hitting the floor, just pure, dead silence. More of them came out of the fog. A young woman holding a baby wrapped in a white cloth. A teenage boy with a sad face. A little girl carrying a broken wooden doll. They poured onto the bus in a steady line. 30 people, 35, 40. The bus was completely full. Every single seat was taken. The bus was completely full, but inside there was absolutely no noise. Think about a normal bus in Lagos. People are always shouting. Someone is fighting for a seat. Someone is arguing about change. A baby is crying. Someone is playing loud music on their phone. But this bus was as silent as a graveyard at midnight. Nobody coughed. Nobody shifted in their seats. Nobody was even breathing. The cold was unbearable now. Chike was shivering violently. His teeth were shattering. Every time he breathed out, thick white smoke came out of his mouth. He waited. He did not know if he should close the door. Then, a sharp cold wind blew into the bus and the doors slammed shut all by themselves with a loud bang. Chike jumped in the seat. The digital clock flashed. It was time to drive. He put the bus in gear and drove into the dark, foggy night. Chike drove slowly. The headlights of the big bus cut through the white fog, but he could only see a few feet ahead. The roads were completely empty. There were no other cars. There were no police checkpoints. It felt like he was the only living man left in the entire world. The old man had given me a piece of paper with directions. Drive straight past the market and follow the long dirt road until it ends. Chike followed the instruction perfectly. He drove past the big city market, but the market looked strange in the dark. As he drove further down this road, the environment began to change. The trees on the side of the road did not look normal anymore. They were huge, tall, and completely black. They had no leaves. Their branches twisted and curved like the long, sharp fingers of a monster reaching down to grab the roof of the bus. Then, the smell hit him. At first, Chike thought that something had died inside the engine, but the smell was coming from the back of the bus. It was a heavy, terrible smell. It smelled like fresh wet dirt. It smelled like chemicals and old cotton. It smelled exactly like an open grave that has just been dug up after a heavy rain. Chike gagged. He had to cover his nose with his shirt to stop himself from vomiting. Just drive, he told himself. Do not stop. Do not speak. Do not look into the mirror. He looked at the digital GPS map glowing on his dashboard. He looked out of the window. He saw an old stone pillar, then a broken iron fence. His heart dropped to the floor of his stomach. He knew this road. Every driver in the city knew this road, but nobody ever drove down it at night. He was on Cemetery Road. It was the oldest, biggest burial ground in the entire state. Thousands and thousands of bodies were buried there. The horrible truth hit Chike like a heavy stone. He was not transporting people to another town. The passengers behind him did not need to buy market goods or visit their family. He was their driver. He was driving them back to the dead. He was taking ghosts back to their graves. Panic exploded in Chike's heart. He wanted to hit the brakes. He wanted to open the door, jump out into the bush and run for his life. But his body refused to obey him. His foot felt like it was glued to the gas pedal. His hands were locked onto the steering wheel like iron chains. Some dark, heavy magic was holding him in his seat, forcing him to keep driving towards the cemetery. Then, the dead silence broke. It started very softly, just a tiny sound behind his right ear. Driver! The whisper was freezing cold. It felt like a piece of ice dragging down the back of his neck. Chike squeezed his eyes shut for a second. Do not speak, do not look, do not speak, do not look. We are so cold, driver. Another voice whispered. This one sounded like an old man. It was coming from the seat right behind him. Why is your jacket covering the mirror, driver? Take it down. We want you to see us. Chike was shaking violently now. Sweat poured down his face, even though the bus felt like a freezer. He kept his eyes locked on the dirty road ahead. The voices grew louder. They multiplied. It was no longer just 1 or 2 whispers. It was 10 voices, then 20, then 40 voices, all whispering at the same time. Men, women, and children. They were hissing like snakes in the dark. Chike, they whispered. His eyes shot wide open in terror. They knew his name. Chike, look at us now. Chike, we are so lonely in the dark. Just one look, turn around. The urge to look was suddenly overwhelming. It was not just curiosity anymore. It was a physical pain pulling his head backwards. It felt like invisible strings were trying to pull his head up to the rear mirror. God, please help me, Chike prayed silently in his mind. He forced his chin down to his chest, looking only through the bottom of the windscreen. Take the jacket off, Chike, a harsh, angry voice commanded from the back. Look at us now. Suddenly, the knot holding his dirty jacket over the mirror untied itself. The jacket fell onto Chike's lap. The large glass mirror was now uncovered, shining in the dark, pointing directly at the 40 dead souls sitting behind him. Chike let out a cry. He kept his eyes glued to the steering wheel. The temptation to look up was driving him crazy. His neck muscle burned down from the effort of trying to keep his head down. Then, the worst thing possible happened. A new voice spoke. It wasn't a scary dead voice. It was a sweet, innocent, tiny voice. Daddy! Daddy! Chike stopped breathing. Daddy, it is so dark back here. I am scared. Why won't you look at me? Daddy, it is me, Ada, your daughter. Tears burst out of Chike's eyes, hot tears streaming down his freezing face. It was his daughter's voice. It sounded exactly like little Ada. Please, Daddy, the little girl cried. Just look at me in the mirror. I want to see your eyes. Chike cried harder. His heart was tearing into pieces. He loved Ada more than his own life. If she was there, he had to see her. He had to hold her. His daughter's voice, Ada, the same one he left at home after dropping the medicine. Is she among the dead? Is she still alive? Or the ghosts were just playing a trick on Chike? This is the moment. This is the very moment where Chike nearly lost everything. Slowly, against all his strength, his chin began to lift. His eyes started to move upward, up past the steering wheel, up past the dashboard, up towards the shining glass of the rear view mirror. No! A loud voice screamed inside his head. It is a trick. The old man said, if you look, you belong to them. Chike beat his own lips so hard that blood filled his mouth. The sharp pain snapped him out of the spell. He violently pushed his head down and stared directly at the road. He refused to look. He refused to give up his soul. Look at us, driver! All 40 voices screamed at once. It was a horrible roar of pure evil. The bus shook violently. Through the heavy white fog was the entrance to the cemetery. Two gigantic iron gates stood tall in the darkness. The gates were wide open, like the jaws of a giant monster waiting to swallow the bus whole. Beyond the gates, there was nothing but thousands and thousands of white tombs disappearing into the black night. He had arrived, the final destination. Chike slammed his foot on the brake pedal. The heavy bus stopped. It stopped exactly 1 inch away from passing through the giant iron gate. For a moment, there was absolute silence again. The screaming had stopped. The whisper was gone. Chike was breathing heavily. His whole body was covered in sweat and shivering. He had made it. He did not look into the mirror. He followed the rules. He reached out with trembling finger and pressed the button to open the doors. The door swings open into the cold cemetery air. Chike waited. He kept his head down. He heard the soft, floaty sounds of bare feet moving down the bus. He felt the freezing cold shapes drifting past him, one by one, exiting the bus and disappearing into the graveyard. He counted them in his head. 10, 20, 30, 39. He waited for the last one to leave. He waited for a full minute, then 2 minutes. The bus felt a little warmer. The heavy wet smell was fading away. He was safe. The job was done. Chike finally let out a massive breath of relief. A smile started to form on his face. He was going to go home. He was going to collect his 500,000 naira. His family was saved. He slowly reached his hand out to press the button to close the doors. But before his finger could touch the button, a freezing, dead hand pressed down onto his right shoulder. Right behind his ear, a harsh demonic voice whispered, "You forgot to take your transport fare, driver." Chike froze completely, his eyes widened in pure terror. The final passenger had not left. It was standing right behind him. The grip on his shoulder tightened, digging into his flesh like iron claws. "Turn around," the voice hissed in anger. "Look at me." One passenger did not leave the bus. One passenger is standing right at the back of Chike, its hand on Chike's shoulder. Will Chike turn around? Will the dead drag him into the cemetery forever? Will Ngozi and little Ada ever see their father again? Or is he now trapped on the midnight bus for the rest of eternity? It's coming, but I want to know if you want it. Kindly drop part 2 in the comment section, like this video and share it with someone who loves a good scary story. I remain your host, Tales by Daisy. Bye bye, I'll see you in my next video. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for sticking around. We will see you in our next video. Bye bye.